Hello everyone, Merry Christmas and I guess happy almost New Year. I'm sorry for the delay. I actually thought today was Thursday and tomorrow was Friday, which is a whole other thing in itself. I'm sure everyone can relate that time of year. Today I wanted to quickly talk about which would have been technically a lesson number 11, just around expectations. Now, we all heard of the idea of placing high expectations on people. We most certainly are familiar with the idea of placing high expectations on self. But one thing I've noticed this year is that for so long, I don't think I realized the value of, which is interesting because of the work I've done, but the value of really just meeting people wherever they're at. And it may not be where you're at. You may not even like it. You may not like where they're at. You may not even understand it, but it's not your job to understand. It's not your job to fix. It's not your job to fast forward to get them where you think they need to be. I think when you're in the helping field, it's really easy to come alongside someone and support them and really meet them where they're at and see their strengths and really be in that supportive role. But I think when it comes to our closest family and friends, our partners, children, best friends, siblings, parents, we really don't spend enough time checking our expectations that we have around the relationship itself or them. Sometimes the framework in which we move about in the world can be put on other people, and we have to remember and keep ourselves in check. Other people aren't us. My husband and I have had this conversation many times over the years. His parents raised him with a really solid, strong work ethic. They owned a gas station when they were young, and my husband and his brother and sister worked there from a really, really young age. It was an expectation that they would help. And yeah, it was the generation, and yeah, culture and all those kind of things play a role, but he came from this really ethical, strong work ethic, really loyal, work hard. You show up and this is how you do the work, and you take responsibility and ownership if something doesn't go right and whatnot, but you do it. You don't sit around. And so being in his management roles over the years, it had become frustrating because he didn't realize what was happening, but he lumped everybody into the same category as him. It's great to have high expectations of people, especially when it is within their job description, and to hold them accountable. For sure, that's a part of being in management. But there's one thing to kind of take it all on and creating this idea that everyone should be like you, everyone should work like you, everyone needs to. And that's just not the case. And to move about in the world expecting people to think like us, to be like us, to move through things the way we do, I don't actually think we spend enough time realizing how much of those expectations we put on people, because I think it's really subconscious. Really, when we are who we are, we don't know how to be anybody else. When we're in our own heads and in our own body and we're just being this way, it's just how we are and who we are and how we move about in the world, that I think it's really important. And this year, which is ending really fast, it really called me to look at the expectations I place on myself, people around me, because it's very disempowering. It's disempowering within the relationship. It almost puts you in a superiority role. When a friend comes to you with something, or they're experiencing and moving through things, whether we want to admit it or not, sometimes within our relationships, there is some judgment there. There are opinions formed. And, sometimes it's like, well, why don't they just figure out that lesson? Why don't they just move through it? Why don't they not do that anymore? Or, to us, it's so, not all of us, but some of us come into that place of it's just so clear, and we come frustrated and we expect, but those are all expectations because maybe we would have done it a certain way, or maybe we would have dealt with it. But we're not really taking into consideration all the time the person. It leads me to this next piece is everybody is always within their full power and full capacity and full authenticity. People may not come across that way, but within who they are, people don't know how to be anybody else. And if we start looking at people through the eyes, and I love this saying, maybe it's corny, but through the eyes of angels. If you think of how an angel would view somebody, they view them through their light. They view them through their brightness, through their beauty, through their integrity, through their kindness, through their heart. We all are interconnected. We all come from the same place. And so sometimes I think it's just a matter of switching out lenses, especially when we look at the relationships in our life where there has been some more friction, some more conflict, or just that, a little bit of irritation that's been kind of mounting higher and higher, to really stop and be like, wow, am I looking at this person in their full light? When I am in interactions with this person, or just being present, am I being present? Am I being present to their light, to their greatness, to their strengths, to their beauty? Or am I seeing them through this lens of, that's not right, they shouldn't have done it this way, and all these building expectations? It can create a significant disconnect between people. And sometimes that's necessary. It's necessary for people to move through that and growth, or to have growth. But I think it's really important for us to check ourselves. We spend a lot of time checking other people. We need to really realize that everybody is trying their best wherever they are in this moment, in this time. The past does not exist and the future does not exist. There is only this present moment, me talking to you right now. And when you stop and think about all the people in your life, wherever they are at, that is where they're supposed to be. Should they be further? Should they be somewhere different? They would be. Whoever they are in this moment is exactly who they're supposed to be. Are they flawed? Yes, but so are you, and so are you, and so am I. But they're trying their best and they're showing up. And most of the time when we're in those interactions, or we have those high expectations, we're not really viewing people from their light. And so I think it's really important to kind of go back to really honoring. So make a checklist, make a tally of people in your life, partners, you, family, whoever that you're looking at when you think it's just like not, when we think of a relationship, I see it in an energetic kind of form, and I see whether there's like bumps or stagnant, or like blocks, energetic stuff there, and I like sit back and look at it. So I want you to try and do that. Like when you think of you and so, is it like, does it like fill you and bring this like sense of love and peace and this like wow appreciation for who they are in that relationship? Or is it just like frustration or this or judgment or whatever? Really do that, because I think if you pull out all those layers, what you'll realize is there's this expectation that's been placed on them that they should be showing up in a certain way to appease you, and that's not their job. Their job isn't to do anything other than who they are and moving and how they're moving about in the world. Now, I should, as like a little disclaimer, if they're harmful to you, harmful to your energy, harmful to your soul, harmful to your heart, and they're not in their greatest light, it is totally okay for you to bow out. That doesn't mean, not placing expectations on people and not, and seeing people in their light does not mean that we look at people who are doing harm, towards you or to other people and just say, they're just, where they're at. If it doesn't fit for you and you're feeling a need to walk away and bow out of that relationship, whether it orbits back around or whether it stays like that forever, that is your prerogative and it is your right. We are always meant to feel, it is always important that we feel safe and that we feel secure and that we feel strong and loved in whatever dynamic that we are in, okay? But we really need to be honoring people where they are at, wherever they are at, there they are. Even if, like I said, even if you don't like it and even if you don't understand it. It's not your job to like where people are at. It's not your job to understand, and it's not your job to help them unless they come forward to you specifically and say, hey, this happened, or I need support around this. This is what's going on and I want your advice. Can you please share what that is with me? Or what do you think I should do? And even then, we should always be coming from a place of empowering people and leading people towards figuring it out themselves so we can be curious. But other than that, it is not our job. People are always on their own path, and we spend a lot of time checking other people. We think we know what's best and so on. I see in family dynamics all the time, we think like, I know what's best for her. She's just, or I know what's best for him. He's just, I just really wish he would, or I wish she would, or I wish they would, or I wish, all of this. Your hopes and your wishes for other people don't matter. Everyone is their own expert of their life, and they are the people that will move through what they need to move through when it is time to move through it. You got two choices. You can support them, stick through it, be supportive, be curious, be compassionate, be loving, be unconditional. And you can do that while checking yourself and noticing if there's things going on for you. Or they might just not be able to be a part of your life right now because you can't show up for them in the ways that they need. Make sense? Okay. I think that's it. Just wherever you are at, wherever people are at, that's where they are supposed to be. And so kind of action plan 1, check yourself. What expectations have you placed on you? And remember, these are different from like desires and goals and things like that. Sometimes, especially around parenting, I have to stop and unpack like, whoa, where are these unrealistic expectations around my parenting? Where do they come from? And I have to unpack and go around them and then bring myself back down to reality. But it can be the same in all areas in terms of business, success, career, relationships, like fitness, health, all of the kind of things. So really checking yourself, what expectations are you placing on yourself and therefore placing on other people? Where in your life do you have certain relationships or connections with people, whether it's colleagues or what, and where is there this friction and whatnot? What is going on? And if you can stop and stand back and check yourself and really just that embrace everything that I just talked about, can you really see them in this place of like love and light? And can you really know that sometimes people just aren't standing in their light because they don't really connect with it? And if anything, those are the people that deserve more love and more light. Again, as long as it's not harmful or upsetting for you. Anyways, that concludes lesson 11, and I most likely will hop on and do 12 because I missed yesterday. And then I will chat with you soon. Bye.